Hi everyone, my name is Dennis Vuyork. We are in our studio in Kiev, and today I'm gonna tell you and Beatport about our setup and how we play live. So I will give the overview of our setup that we use for touring, and actually that was used to create our album as well. So we do all the drums, almost all of the drums is done on TR8. This machine is good because it can serve as a drum machine as standalone, as well as you can trigger some other stuff from this. So for example, we never use the internal bass drum, but we rather use our own bass drums, and we just trigger it using the sequencer that is inside this machine. So, for example, the bass drum you hear now, it's not the internal one, but it's ours, and we can just tweak it. We reassign the drum parts, and we can just, add some high frequency content or mid frequency content to shape the sound. To switch the bass drum, I'm using this controller that I will tell later more detailed about, but yeah, I can switch, as you see, as you hear, it's just different one, but yeah, so this is the drum machine that we use for almost all of this stuff. For the bass line, we always use Moog Mother 32, amazing synthesizer, only one oscillator, but with the help of patching we can achieve two waveforms actually, and it has very fat and very powerful, and it creates very good pressure for the mix. So I will just now turn it on. You see, so it's just raw analog sound. This small guy we just recently added to the setup. For now we are using it for the rhythms, and we trigger it from the TR8. So basically, you see, so now it's just using the TR8 sequencer. I'm having the sound that is coming from this guy. Stretch fade string synthesizer, as you might guess from the name, it's the synthesizer that we make pads and strings and everything in between, because you have this nice knob here which allows you to morph from one timbre to another. And in combination with the software version of Jupiter 08, we can create really nice, warm, analog-like pads. So just maybe add some shakers from here. So you hear this, yeah. So we go next. This small guy, with the help of some scripting inside Ableton, we were able to turn it to the drum machine. So the important part is that these pads are all velocity sensitive. So I can just, on the fly, I turn the rack and can add whatever, like and it's already there. Some claps. So, like this. That's basically the part that I control from my side. Andrew's side contains from the several synthesizers that are basically the main synthesizers in the live, despite of rhythm that I used with Roland SH01 and Moog. The Coxbox is our first analog synthesizer we bought, and we use it since I don't know, like 7 years or 6 years already, but it's just the heart of our acid lines. So if you listen to our tracks, you know that we love acid, and it just good. This acid line is later processed through this distortion unit, which is the MXR pedal, and we find it one of the best pedals out there for processing the acid sound. So it just gives it like raw and kind of dirtiness to the acid lines, which is in some occasions works very good. Too much? Yeah. So, as you hear, can do this all day. Okay, so that's the Coxbox 303. This small guy, actually we at first originally we bought it to replace Coxbox some time ago, because we need to have the acid synthesizer, but we need the one that is smaller to fit our tour case. But then it happened that we found another solution, and we left this thing for the setup. As you can hear, it has kind of like not far from this, but actually if you go deeper, it has really nice own character that is very different from the Coxbox. So basically these two synthesizers are like the clones of 303, but they have totally different feel when you use. And one important thing is that this one has the knob which allow you to switch from the square wave to saw wave, but not just like this, like the trigger, but just morphing, which can give you really nice effect. And in combination with this, add some pads. Yeah, the fun part, GP08 is used to synthesize the strings, bleeps, mostly bleeps. We are like using a lot of bleeps while playing live, because they can give kind of this rave feeling. while being processed with some with some delays and reverbs. But other than that, it can be used for a lot of sounds, and yeah, so it just, let me, yeah, here it is. So as you hear, it's like the clone of, as you hear it, it is processed with some reverbs and delays, but yeah, the overall feel of the synths is like this. So that was the overview of the whole stuff. If you were present at our live performances, you might notice that we do not have the laptops, kind of opened laptops on the stage, because the idea was to play live but not stare to the laptop. It's something we wanted to avoid. That is why we configured our systems in such a way that laptops are always closed. One laptop is running Native Instruments Machine, and one laptop is running the Ableton, which I control from my iPad, and which is pretty stable. And lucky, I never experienced any problems with this, despite it is, as you see, it has no wires, so basically, yeah, you can move and dance and whatever. But I can trigger the synths or the sounds just from this one. I have several channels, some filters, delaying, and I control all this stuff from this small controller up here. So if you hear, this sound is coming from, this is sample. So that's the overview. Signals are later. After all synthesizers make the sound, all the sounds are not going directly to the mixing board. All the sounds are going to the sound cards and to the DAW, where we add some saturation, compression, you know, equalization. And after the sound was processed, we output it to the mixing board. So, in such a way, we can achieve the rawness of live, the possibility to control each synthesizer separately, but still maintain the high quality level of the sounding. Because if you just get all the synthesizers and put them on the mixing board, it can sound a bit raw. For somebody it can be great, like if somebody like it, but we want our sound to be pretty shaped and we want it to sound in an exact way. So that's how we do it. Doing some bass line. The important part is that after the signal was zoomed in this mixer, we are using the insert channel, and why we do it? In order to have a competitive sound, loud-wise, you should do some processing on top of all the signal, because the tracks that are played by DJs, they are already recorded, mixed and mastered on studios, which means that the loudness level is pretty high there. We don't go that high levels, but we are getting at least close to it by processing our sound using the insert, and have some plugins, some equalization and compression. So that's why we can achieve the good loudness on top of our mix. Important part of the setup is two RME cards that we use. Why they are so great for us? In such a small device, they are pretty small. you have so big amount of input and output channels and so stable and quality sound that it's just something else, because we basically, with all this stuff, we are using all the inputs and all the outputs of these cards. Moreover, these cards have the optical input and output, which we use to interact the two sides of the setup. One side is Andrew's side with Machine, and other side is Ableton side. And with the use of these optical channels, we can transmit the signals between each workstations, avoiding the analog to digital and then digital to analog conversion, which for sure leads to some sound degradation. But in case of these RME sound cards, we just avoid it. We keep the signal in digital domain and only convert it on the latest stage of the mixing of the mixing road. So, and also what is very important, they are very small, so you can just fit it to your tour case, and yeah, they are very stable, very good. It might be interesting how we sequence all these things. Basically, all these synthesizers are sequenced from, actually not all, but acid synthesizer, Xoxbox GP08 and MAM MB303 are sequenced from the machine. So basically, Andrew can trigger, either trigger the sound by just playing the pads, or he can program the sequence and send it to synthesizer. But the interesting thing is this MIDI signal, it's not going directly there. At first, it goes to Ableton, where we use the special plugin that creates small shifts in the MIDI signal. Basically, every note is not playing just in the grid, you know, but it's playing sometimes a bit forwards, sometimes a bit backward, but these shifts are super small, like milliseconds, and they create such a feeling that it's not that robotic, you know, it's not that like directly onto the grid and that's it. So it kind of creates a live feeling. And the plugin name is Humanizer. It's just a free plugin created in Max for Live, so you can just get it and use. From my side, I'm sequencing all the stuff using Roland. I'm triggering the drums, internal drums, and as well external drums. And as well, I'm triggering this synthesizer from it.